Yes, when I see Eastern wisdom, I have already explained 6,000 years old, 3,000 texts and teachings, and every master reached to that state of enlightenment. So they say that three steps are must. First step is listening and learning the principles from a teacher. Why from a teacher? Because the book cannot customize those principles. You just told me that only one chapter, it's very small chapters, maybe a page, but it contains a whole lot of information. So what happens that when any seeker, or I would say a person approaches me, I have to personalize these teachings. So every chapter, goes to maybe 5 or 6 more principles. So I see which principle is relevant to you. Shravanam, it is known as listening and learning the principles. 7814, what is the address? So this is the principle, basically. So when you understand this is the exact address, you don't look here and there. You just find out where is the address. So that is the first step. The mind is totally clear where I have to go. The second is, if you do not ask questions to your mind, if you don't question the mind, then you don't recognize what is the cause of the stress, what is the cause of the anxiety, why I am suffering. I have to ask. But you ask with reference to the principle that we have done a couple of times. Peace is my essential nature. Okay, I have understood the principle. The essence, why it is essential nature, it cannot be undone. It is continuous. The day we are born and until we leave the body. We leave the body. Who is this we? That is our true nature. That is of the nature of peace and health. No, but I experience peace and anxiety, pain, duality. So the second step is what is contemplation. So I have to ask the questions: what, why, where, how. There is one higher principle. What is that higher principle? With every breath going in, there is a mantra, Koham. Who am I? And then you hold the breath for a few seconds. Soham, I am the existence, consciousness, bliss. You breathe out, Naham, I'm none of these labels. I'm not the son, daughter, father, mother, wife, fiancé, employer, employee. It does not mean that if I'm none of these, I should stop playing my role. This studio is not mine. It does not mean that I cannot work here. See, that is the part of contemplation. So why we say none of these labels is you? Because of 8 factors, the last time we learned. The moment you say, I am your father, why don't you listen to me? So that very statement has an attachment. So desire is there that because I'm your dad, so you must listen to me. So now option is there, whether the son is listening to me, then I get pleasure. If he's not listening to me, then I get pain. And last time we covered. See that this happens in life at every moment. And we lose awareness and loss of memory, loss of intelligence, and the seventh factor is delusion. Do you see that the moment you see that delusion in your mind as a knowledge, you had a big laugh. Oh my goodness, mind, you make me crazy, stop this. Delusion. Delusion means water in a mirage. I see in a person, in an object, what is not there. It does not mean the third, Naham, I'm none of these labels, but let me use the label and play my role. And it becomes such a play and a fun. At present, I'm your mentor and a guide, I'm playing my role. So playing my role is not a fun. I'm consciously aware not to allow that attachment, that desire, that expectation, which causes loss of memory, loss of intelligence, and ultimately put me into delusion. Do you see that? When you see it clearly, what happens? The mind is now not dictating you. You start working on the mind. And from nowhere, calmness, peace. But it is not from nowhere. We have already started the principle that the true nature is full of peace and happiness. So we don't remain unknown. We get flashes of it. We get glimpse of that peace in ourselves. See that how easy it is for a seeker who is committed, who starts the journey with 4 big questions, and then I will take up, I'll give a brief of it. Who starts with 4 small questions. What are the small questions? He or she had been my honey for so many years, when I met him or her, he or she promised me that everything will be all right, and now he makes me crazy. Small question. What is the big question? Why outer object in a person makes me crazy? What is that craziness in the head? Let me remove this. Let me not be influenced by anything outside in the world. See that? This is a big question. So if we go on exploring, ultimately we find 4 big questions. There are 7 big questions that we'll take up later on. So every time I experience anxiety, duality, conflict, challenges in my life, ask big question. What is that? Who am I? Who is getting hurt? Who is experiencing anxiety? And you will realize these labels are suffering. You never suffer. That's why every day you go to sleep. If you are suffering, you will stop eating. You will stop sleeping. You will stop living. There is someone behind you. It is the label that is suffering. But that is the knowledge and the wisdom we have to keep in our mind. And when you keep in that mind, what is that? That is the wisdom, that is the knowledge. Don't you keep this address in your mind?
I mean, I just come. I
You
just get
just,
here.
you just come, but there is some knowledge.
Right.
Otherwise, you
I've
will
been there before.
you will reach somewhere else.
Right. I end up across the street.
So so there is a knowledge is there.
Yes.
That is what I'm saying. Knowledge that peace is my essential nature. Keep it with. Forget it, but still you know.
Yeah.
You don't repeat it verbally, loudly, or in your mind. It's a non-verbal awareness. Oh, peace is my essential nature. How dare you, mind, can cause me any stress in my life. That is the beauty of this tradition. So the biggest questions are 4. First is, who am I? Second is, what is this world outside? No? So that I can relate to it. The moment you came, label, mentor, seeker, done. Session is finished, label is gone. We are only friends, good friends, finished. But again, friend is a label. So if the friend has an element of attachment, it will take me to delusion. So by regular practice, one reaches to that state. The third question is, what is this existence? Who am I? Biggest question. Number 1. 2, what is this world? So I should know the world as it is, so that I can live in the world, but do not allow the world to live in me. If you claim you are not the label, but label is you, you allow the world to live in you. There is no end to the suffering. No, but we have to work on it. We have to release all the stuff that the mind has created. So this is the third question. Who am I? What is the world? And the third is, what is this existence all about? What is this existence? I'm a part of the existence. I am a manifest of that existence. So once I know these 3 aspects of the entire life, the 4th big question, that how to live and work, think and speak in the world, to live in permanent peace and happiness, love and wisdom, that is an awakened state. It is accessible, it can be reached by anyone who is a human being. But at the mental and the intellectual level, am I a human being? Little pain and I start crying. That is what the animal mind do. But the human mind, intellect, let me know, let me recognize. I ask the questions. You have to follow the same 3 steps. Okay, pain is there. Yes, I experience the pain in the body, but let me understand. Let me take the proper treatment. Finished. One aspect, and what the animal mind does, starts crying. Why it starts crying? The animals cannot recognize and separate pain from himself. One of the most remarkable power of wisdom we have. We see the world objectively, separate from me. So when I see the world separate from me, it can cause the delusion. Why? I am expecting happiness from you. Or it can raise my wisdom. Let me understand. Body is separate from me. I am not the body. Do you see that? Once you see this, in your mind clearly. You do not exist because of any label outside. It may be your honey, it may be your son, it may be your daughter, it may be your mother. Separate existence. Can I see in my mind with wisdom, with a clarity? The moment it is clarity outside, inside I know I am not the label, but it does not mean that I should not perform my role. So now with that wisdom, Mom, what happened to you? Honey, what happened to you? Son, what happened to you? Daughter, what happened to you? And then you are moving. So what happens? Because you are not attached, you are not in delusion. There is no sympathy, there is no attachment, there is no craving, there is no pleasure seeking. But it does not mean, because when you play your role with kindness, with compassion, with love and wisdom. That love is at the height. That love never becomes physical. Because if it becomes physical, it will trigger the attachment and you will fall again into the same ditch. So today's topic, the first part, you have to listen to, it's a big topic, the chapter number 6, Wisdom, knowledge is power that awakens to peace, happiness, love, and the truth. Wisdom. We say sa vidya ya vimuktaye, is a Sanskrit phrase coming from the verse. Literal meaning is the knowledge that liberates us from the suffering. I'm repeating again. And start thinking and asking questions related to that. Knowledge is that power which liberates me from suffering. Let me rephrase it. Knowledge is that power which awakens me to the peace and happiness hidden behind the mind. Let me rephrase it, and then let me know which question comes to you. Right knowledge is that knowledge which promotes wisdom and leads me to permanent peace and happiness. So natural question comes, what is that wrong knowledge? If this is the right knowledge. Lisa, what is that wrong? So wrong knowledge is that knowledge in the mind when you are sitting in front of me. Wrong knowledge is that knowledge which is promoting attachment, craving, projecting happiness in others when the happiness is here. 99.9999 add 59% of the mind lives with the wrong knowledge. Because knowledge is realized in stages, that is why we are continuing our journey. Knowledge cannot be realized just in a moment.
Right.
Seed does not become a tree overnight. So we started, now we are contemplating. What is that? Right knowledge is that power which leads me to awakening within me, behind the mind, results in permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. So, any knowledge, my mind must discern, my mind must separate in the mind whether this knowledge is right or wrong. So we started with knowledge that promotes detachment, knowledge that prevents projection of happiness in others. See that? Now apply all the 8 factors. The knowledge that prevents the delusion in my mind, the knowledge that prevents the loss of memory and the loss of intelligence, because if it is there, it will lead me to suffering in my life. So it means there is a right knowledge, there is a wrong knowledge. But wrong knowledge with reference to my existence, my real nature. The same wrong knowledge is being applied just as a play and fun. I like pasta. See that? I like pasta. That's a normal expression. Mm-hmm. So if I don't get pasta, I'm still okay. It doesn't mean that I should crave for it. Mm. So that craving is a knowledge in the mind. Wrong knowledge starts with a craving. Craving is nothing but an attachment. It will lead me to delusion. I cannot live without pasta. Replace pasta with the honey.
Or with chocolate.
Or chocolate. See that? So it means mind works through the knowledge. Mm-hmm. First there is a knowledge, then there is a desire, and then there is an action. Without knowledge, you cannot have a desire. Understand that very clearly. Once you know this is pasta, this is the shape and the color and the taste, then only that knowledge in the mind creates a desire, creates liking and disliking. Am I clear?
Yes.
We are understanding our own mind. Why we are understanding our mind? Mind, you should not become crazy. You have to follow me. So first there is a knowledge, then there is a desire, followed by action. Clear? Now knowledge of the pasta. Knowledge of the pasta. The mind is constantly thinking about it. So that thinking creates a desire. Ultimately, the thought comes to my mind, I cannot live without pasta. That's what people say, I cannot live without chocolate, I cannot live without coffee, I need that coffee. But, so craving has come. So now see, the wrong knowledge, it is the wrong knowledge. My mind gives a fuel to the wrong knowledge. That is what the craving is. There is nothing more than that. That is what the craving, that is what we say the intense desire. That is how the mind says, I cannot live without coffee. Come on. What you are saying. But because you have a craving, you have an intense desire, that translates into action. So the wrong knowledge leads to wrong action. Wrong knowledge leads to wrong action. In relationship to the world outside, in relationship to the people outside. You cheated me, hence I leave you. Initially we were a soulmate and now we are a sourmate, and now we want to be happy when we were soulmate. I want to be happy and I recognize you are a sourmate. I want to be happy, hence I divorce you. So the happiness is the common factor. Can I understand this? Wrong knowledge is causing the problem to me. Being a soulmate, wrong knowledge, I expected and projected happiness in you. Because that became intense, so that is what we say, dating and the soulmate. I'm not saying don't go for it, I've already made it clear. So we have to be very clear. So then the intense desire, and that desire took over me. I could not sleep overnight. Why? My soulmate is not with me. My pizza is not with me. Anything. My phone is not with me. Anything. You see that there is a knowledge. So I just am putting this on the mode, silent mode, that I forgot. So that is how it happens. The knowledge, that is how the knowledge comes. So, wrong knowledge, I have to recognize the moment the mind gives me the knowledge. At every moment it gives me the knowledge. When you are driving, no, left, right, no, straight, slow down. It's giving you the knowledge. Mm-hmm. Craving, desire, projecting happiness, it's giving you the knowledge. It is giving you the knowledge. The intellect has to separate right with the wrong knowledge before it is translated into action. Nobody can make you stressed. Nobody can give you any pain. Nothing can ever bring the pain and the miseries and the suffering in your life. You're working on the mind. Mind is clear, transparent, and that reflects my true nature, and I live into that state of consciousness 24/7. That is the summary, the first part of the summary of the 6th chapter. You have to go through it again and again. Ask as many questions to your mind. Ask as many questions to your mind. Why you ask the questions? Because you are contemplating, you are reflecting, you want clarity, you want a conviction. You want, the mind should not create any doubt. What is the principle? The right knowledge is the power which liberates you from suffering. It brings an end to the suffering. And at the same time it awakens you to inner peace and happiness. I think it is going deeper.